pipeline here. And there's an existing pipeline that goes down through here. And what Saddle Butte is proposing is to be offset 15 feet off of this existing pipeline. And that'll be the closest.
What size? And that's a gas pipeline that goes through there?
I believe it is.
Do you know like what size diameter?
It is probably a 6 or 8 inch gas pipeline.
And at this point, would the Pinon Pipeline be 6 to 8, or would it be in that 10 to 12 inch size?
This main line that's running from the Lybrook terminal down to the Long terminal will be 10 to 12 inches in diameter.
Yeah, at that point. When does it get smaller?
All this up here, the gathering system is going to be smaller. It'll be 4 to 6 inches.
What's likely that it'll spill?
Anything could happen, but if it's constructed properly and it's maintained properly, it should be safe. Does that answer?
Aren't all pipelines supposed to be constructed properly, but many of them leak or spill?
Pipelines do leak and pipelines do spill, and if they're older, there's the tendency for them to leak is greater. If they're brand new, then they're not really subject to leaking because they're not as an aged infrastructure.
Until it gets aged, which will happen.
Once it gets aged, the possibilities go up that it could leak, and if that happens in the case of where the pipeline gets so degraded and so corroded that it's not functioning properly, they'll have to shut it down.
How old is the existing pipeline?
Pardon?
The existing pipeline, how old is that?
I want to say that was built in the 60s or 70s. I don't know exactly, but that's my estimation. In about 5:30, Esther.
And what's the lifetime before it's considered old or aged?
We have pipelines in this basin that are 7 years old, and they're still functioning today. So I consider anything over 50 years to be kind of a risk. But there's another agency that deals with pipeline safety. That's the Pipeline Safety Administration and the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Their job is pipeline safety.
Has the existing one spilled before?
I don't believe it has. I could be wrong because I don't know the history of this pipeline. This is one of 10,000 pipelines in the basin, and I don't know each one of them. But I don't recall any spills on this existing pipeline.
When you say in the basin, you mean in the San Juan
In the San Juan Basin? Yeah, we have over 10,000 pipelines in the San Juan Basin.
What's the geographical area of the basin? How big is that?
Oh, it ranges from north of the Colorado border down to Cuba, just north of Cuba, and from Shiprock all the way over to about halfway between Taos and Lucia. I mean, it's a little small. I'm not the geologist, but that's my estimation.
Do you know, Scott, what the maintenance budget is that goes into something like the Pinon Pipeline?
I have no idea. You'd have to talk to one of the engineers from Saddle Butte, and I would recommend you talk to probably Paul Edwards or Ryan Cheese. They're both engineers, and they're here tonight. Let me introduce you.
We'll do a quick tour of the different exhibits that are here. Excuse me.
Over huge areas.
Excuse me.
Just like crank it through. So we'd be doing more of that. You know, I mean, just like the whole basin, just like crank it through this interesting algorithm.
Yeah.
And see what we come up with and eliminate the modern roads and just sort of go through and.
Well, that's the big thing I'm pushing is that the roads work that was done in the 80s. Now it's like 30 years ago. And it's, in my mind, it's really obsolete.
Yeah, and I know
so many more technology.
With the North Road stuff, I know you guys were trying to sort of update some of what we know about the roads. Tell me all about that.
So this is a scoping meeting for a proposed pipeline about 140 miles from Lybrook down to Interstate 40 They have 2 sentences about environmental justice. Nice to see they're taking environmental justice seriously with 2 sentences. Can you elaborate on what you have written there about environmental justice?
Right here?
Yeah.
This is just about basically here in executive order there, and Amanda over here is our environmental justice person.
The BLM adheres to Executive Order 12898, a law requiring federal agencies to disclose impacts to minority and low-income populations. If the BLM's demographic analysis determines that a specific minority or low-income population is affected by the project, impacts to that population will be analyzed in detail in the EA. Is that a consideration here, that this pipeline would impact minority or low-income communities?
It would be a concern because it's in all of our issues. As you go around the NEPA process, you look at resources or issues that we need to consider. And since we're just in scoping and we haven't analyzed the impacts yet, we get to do it and see if there are and how that fleshes out.
So you're not sure yet?
No.
Even though it's pretty obvious that you're in an area that has a large minority and low-income population,
so it will be part
one of the
the
poorest counties in the state, which is one of the poorest states in the country.
Okay, but that would be analyzed in the environmental assessment, so we haven't written it yet.
When will that be written? When will the EA be written?
That I don't know. I would assume, I think we're in scoping, and I think I've heard that the next stage, comment period ends, I think, on the 30th of this month. And then they're going to have to go through all the scoping comments. And I think in the summer, they would start working on the draft EA. And that goes through another comment period before the final comes out. So it's a pretty long process.
So what's your best estimate?
Excuse me?
What's your best estimate of when the final EA will come out?
I asked Amanda, she's an eco coordinator. I'm a livestock person.
Thanks. Oh, so what's the impact to livestock that you expect?
It would be analyzed in the EA. So it would be like in here, we're going to look at forage. Basically, if there's any change to forage, we don't know yet. It would come out on AUMs, acres, production from specific vegetation communities, and if there's impact or not, or what we see coming. So that would be all the analysis to come.
Thanks.
Yes, so that,
The Minority Association is that's it.
No, that's fantastic.
So the plan was to live stream tonight, but it looks like the internet signal is not strong enough to live stream, so I will simply record a video to upload later, and I'm gonna stop this video to save space on my camera for the video of the presentation and public comments.